guys, nice and swiftly here from Bleed Deep Gaming. This week bring you our top 10 racing games. We'll kick off at number 10 with Midnight Club 2. Now although this game was quite hard to navigate around the racetrack as there wasn't any blockades stopping you from going, taking the wrong turn, I found this game really quite fun, mainly because of all the jumps that you had to do to get around the city. Now this was based in Paris, and although this was a long time ago, this game, I think they really did do a good job with the graphics and all the underground routes that you had to take to be able to win the races. On the whole, I would definitely say a game I enjoy playing. At number 9 we have Need for Speed Underground. Now this game definitely brought a different level of customization to the street racing genre, and a game that I thoroughly enjoyed playing, and I don't think anyone would second guess me on that. This game was what made me fall in love with their franchise, and unfortunately Need for Speed Carbon was the reason why I stopped playing the Need for Speed games. But this game was definitely a different game in its class at the time, giving you points for hang times, drifting, power slides, basically anything that you could have thought about bringing into a street racing game was definitely in this one. In at number 8 we have Forza Horizon 2. Now although Forza are well known for all of their circuit racing games, which they do an amazing job at, their Horizon series definitely bring a different element with the free roaming side of the game. Now the reason why I chose this one over Forza Horizon is just because of how well they made Nice look in France. I think the scenery is just beautiful, and you can really enjoy the game when you're travelling on your little road trips, getting from place to place, and the amount of detail that they put into this game was absolutely brilliant. I have played countless hours on this game, trying to get up as much of a skill tree as I could, and competing against all of your friends at the same time on the Xbox just made this game a lot more enjoyable, and getting your bragging rights when you know that you whooped their ass just made it a lot better. And number 7 we have The Crew. Now the size of the map on this game was unreal. It took so long to drive from one side to the other, and the amount of detail that was in each area is so amazing. Now this game could have made itself a little bit higher if they had done a few extra things, which I think they failed on, with things like the customization wasn't that great, as you just had to win parts. It didn't really tell you what make they were or anything like that. But on the whole, I think that they did do a good job with the game, with all the different aspects of the racing, from the dirt cars to the power cars to the street cars. I just think they covered all those bases definitely very well. And on top of that, you've got all the different type of races, so you've got things like Destroy the Barrels, Knockouts, and then of course just the normal racing, and the fact that you could just jump into a game with all of your friends definitely made this game a very enjoyable one while it lasted. But I don't think they added enough in there to keep people on it for a long period of time. And number 6 we have SSX3. Now this was a snowboard racing game that at the time really blew my mind. I thoroughly enjoyed playing this, and I definitely recommend anyone getting their hands on it just to have a little bit of a play about. Definitely worth it and very enjoyable. Now when this came out, it was very tough to try and understand all the controls, bearing in mind I was quite young, but when you got the hang of it and you were able to build up your skill tree, you could really show your friends up quite easily. Now alongside just the normal racing, you also had to try and build your player up, whichever one it was that you chose, to try and make them a little bit better at the snowboarding tricks and balance and all that side of things. Now for a game to be in the top 10, this definitely does tick a lot of the boxes: fun, addictive, and in places very challenging. So definitely give this game a go. And number 5 we have Gran Turismo 2. Now to be honest, any of the Gran Turismo franchise could have taken this spot, but I'll let you pick whichever one you think is your favourite. I'm picking Gran Turismo 2 because I feel it was definitely better than the first one, and it was one of the ones that made me fall in love with racing. Now with this game you were able to do a lot of customization to the engine side of things, so changing the gear ratios, making the car handle the way that you wanted it to handle, although it isn't quite up to today's standards with the weather aspects of the games where puddles can really throw you off. The aspect of actual racing where you had to slow down for the corners properly was definitely in all of these, and this game definitely gave you a lot of choice in each class of what car you wanted to use. Now alongside that you also had a game that if you lost concentration for just 1 second you could really mess your whole lap up. Now if a true heart of gold racing game is what you were looking for, Gran Turismo have stuck to their guns all the way through with every single one of their games. So if you want something that doesn't stray from the norm, definitely go for one of their games in their franchise. At number 4 we have NFS Most Wanted. Now this game, with all of the different challenges that you had to do to be able to get to the rival throughout the story, is definitely a game that was a challenge and probably one of the most enjoyable racing games that I've ever played. Now running away from the cops, trying to keep a chase for as long as you could, those challenges were a lot of the time very challenging, especially when you got towards the sort of blacklist 3, 2 and 1. Now Need for Speed also didn't stray away from the customizations that you could do with your vehicles on this game, and the fact that they had the snooper at the top definitely added different aspects that you knew when you were coming up to a speed trap. Also always being able to see behind you made it very enjoyable when you could just see the cop cars coming up your ass trying to ram you off the road. Now this, in my eyes, is a game that just had it all. So you had the customization, you had the cop chases, you had the road blockade, you had the spikes, the punching all your tyres, making your car nearly impossible to drive. You had the customization of your vehicle, you had races that were just near on sometimes impossible to win, especially if you chose the wrong car to do it in. Obviously not many people do that, except for me. But yeah, definitely a game that deserves its place in the top 10. And number 3 we have Wipeout. Now this was just a very enjoyable game, from having missiles that you could launch at other races. You had the flying aspect that made it a little bit harder to control than just your normal car racing game, but I spent countless hours playing this and with my friends as well, just trying to make sure I was the one that was better. Quite a lot of the time I wasn't, I'll be honest, but definitely a game that you could spend so long just playing and losing your mind over. I mean, who doesn't want to be flying around in a space rocket, blowing up other ships or racers or pods, whatever you want to call them, and just trying to race your way to the end. And at number 2 we have Mario Kart 64. Now who wouldn't place this in their top 10 racing games? I spent so many hours playing this and I think it is so enjoyable. Anyone that's played it is definitely going to agree with me. If they don't, well, I want to know what's wrong with you and why the hell you play games. I'm going to be honest, this game was brilliant. Now I love the mechanics that this game brought in, so things like the power-ups that you got, so being able to throw the shells at people, having the banana peels that would just make people slip all over the track. Then you've got things like the monsters that come towards you that you've got to try and dodge so you don't get thrown off the track as well. I think that this game was just utterly brilliant at the time, and I wish and hope that another game like this comes out again soon. I know that there's copycats that have come out on things like the Xbox, like the Beach Buggy Racing, but nothing can compete with Mario Kart itself. And at number 1 we have Burnout Paradise. Now this was a game that I just thoroughly enjoyed for a couple of reasons, and the main one being that I could just drive around like a dick and ram all the other racers off of the road, and when you did it and you got that takedown screen come up, it just made it all the more worthwhile. Getting points for smashing people off the road, causing destruction, I just thought it was utterly brilliant. If you want a game that you can just drive around like a dick and not be on Grand Theft Auto, this is definitely the one for you. I think it really is a mix between Grand Theft Auto and Need for Speed. Now I want to know what you guys think of my top 10. Let me know in the comments below. maybe I got a lot of this wrong, maybe I didn't, maybe you absolutely love it, and if you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also share the video with your friends, see how many people we can get, really help support Bleed Deep Gaming and everything that we're trying to do. I'll be back again next week with another top 10. If you want to see any top 10s, please also leave them in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, guys. See you next time.